Hi everyone, and welcome to Unit 5, Lesson 5. And in this unit, in this lesson, we're going to continue on with this idea of moving these parabolas around, so translating them now. So the previous lesson was on either a stretch or a compression or a flip where we reflected it. This one is going to be about moving it to the right and left and up and down. I want to just review yesterday's lesson, or the last lesson, by looking at a little applet. And I'm going to bring this up on the screen. And so this right here is your bread and butter parabola. And I wanted to just show you this one. This one is y is equal to x squared. And essentially, you can see that it follows the same. It's the idea of it has a vertex at 0, 0, and then it has a point at 1, 1, a point at 2, 4, and a point at -1, 1, and -2, 4. So this is the bread and butter parabola. So in the last lesson, we played with the a value. We played with this idea that the a, if you make the a bigger, now here, let me just go back to this for a second. And so if you, in the last lesson, we said, well, you have y is equal to ax squared. And so if the a is greater than 1, so 2, 3, you stretch the parabola. So let's have a look at what happens. So look at this. I'm going to grab this slider here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start pulling it. I'm going to make it bigger. Look at what happens to the parabola as I do this. So there's 1.5. Do you notice what's happening? It's becoming thinner. I'm stretching it out. I'm stretching it. So that's an a getting bigger. Okay, well, what if the a were to get smaller? I'm going to go back to 1. And let's say it went to 0.5. So look what happens. It gets wider. Okay, and so on. So as it is between 0 and 1, it gets wider. Now, as a becomes negative, look what happens to my parabola. It flips. So there's -0.5. So the negative means it flips. There's -1. So now it's just the reverse of the bread and butter parabola. And then as I get to bigger negative numbers, it just gets thinner and thinner, but on the opposite side. Okay, so I'm going to go back to 1 just for now, and we're going to revisit this little diagram in this lesson. But let's go back now. So the whole idea today is we're going to be moving the parabola to the left and right and to up and down. Okay, so a translation, which is what we're covering today, does not change the graph. It doesn't change the shape of it. It just moves it. And the first thing we're going to look at is if we were to put a number on the end. And we're going to call it the k value. So in other words, if you had y is equal to x squared, let's say +4, that's the first one we're going to play with today. Okay, a few things. If k is positive, so if it's +4, the parabola is moved up. And if k is negative, the parabola is moved down. It doesn't flip, it just gets moved down. So let's try this. Okay, so we're going to try a few graphs here. And what I'd like to start with is let's do our bread and butter. It's always nice to compare everything to that. So look at this. I'm just going to put these numbers in. Hopefully you're starting to get used to these. These are kind of the points that we use. And remember, every point has an x and a y. So there they are, x and y. Those are the points on this parabola. So let's graph those. So at -2, it's 4. At -1, it's 1. 0, 0 is the vertex. 1, 1, and 2, 4. I'm going to do one more just to give me something to shoot for. I know at 3, it's 9. So, and at -3, it's 9. Okay, so here we go. Look at this. If I were to graph this, there's the parabola. Kind of missed that point, but you guys get the idea. Okay, so that's the bread and butter one. Well, interestingly, this 4 then, so if we do x squared plus 4, the 4 is going to change the y value. So watch this. I'm going to do a different color here. So basically, you're going to take the y value and you're going to add 4 to it. So look, it becomes 8. And sure enough, if I put the negative 2 squared in there, it become positive 4 plus 4 is 8. Okay, well, look at this. I'm going to add 4 to this one, and so it becomes 5. Add 4 here, it becomes 4. Add 4 here, it becomes 5. And add 4 here, it's 8. So my new points are negative 2, 8, negative 1, 5, 0, 4, 1, 5, and 2, 8. Let's plot those. So negative 2 and 8 is right there. Negative 1 and 5 is right there. 0 and 4, 1 and 5, 2 and 8. So there you go. So notice that what we've done, all we've done is grabbed this parabola and pulled it up. We've pulled it up 4. So when it's here, if k is positive, it pulls the parabola up. Doesn't change the shape. The shape stays exactly the same. All we essentially do is grab the parabola and pull it up. Okay, so that's what a k does. All right, well, let's try a different one. Let's try if it was x squared minus 2. Well, in this one, if it's minus 2, all we do is change the bread and butter parabola. We change that number, we subtract 2 from it. So it's 4 minus 2. Oh, that's 2. Now, if some of you aren't quite seeing that, what I'd like you to do, again, it's always, if you plug the negative 2 in for your x squared, it's still negative 2 times negative 2, that's positive 4. 4 minus 2, oh, that's 2. Another way of thinking about it is just changing the x value. So 1 minus 2 is negative 1. 0 minus 2 is negative 2. 1 minus 2 is negative 1. 4 minus 2 is 2. So these are our new y values. So I just want to emphasize here that this k changes the y values. Okay, so let's plot those ones. So negative 2, I move negative 2, it's 2. So there it is, right there. Negative 1, it's negative 1, right there. 0, it's negative 2. 1, it's negative 1. And 2, it's 2. So there it is, look at that. It's just this parabola here. Okay, so all I did was pull that parabola down. So a k value shifts your parabola up and down. Let's go look at our little template here. So look at this. If I take a k, look what happens. If I do k plus 1, it shifts it up. If I do 2, shifts it up 2. 3 shifts it up 3. And if I go the other direction, look at this. There's negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. It's just shifting the parabola up and down. The parabola doesn't change shape, but it just moves around, moves up and down. Okay, let's see the next one. Well, the next one is called the h. And notice that the h is inside the bracket. And so I just want to put a star here to remind you that the h is going to change your x values. Changes your x values. Okay. And then I'm also going to say, I'm going to put in brackets here, do the opposite. Okay, and so watch this. If it was x minus h, it translates the parabola right. Now, a lot of you might say, well, Mr. Webster, negative in your minds, negative means moving to the left. Well, remember, you've got to do the opposite here. And if it's plus h, it goes to the left. So again, some of you may say, oh, I feel like I should be moving to the right. It's positive, but you're not. You're moving to the left. Okay, let's try these. Now, again, let's start with our bread and butter. So here it is, -2, 4, -1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, and 2, 4. Notice that I've written them as points now. These are our x values. Everything here, these are our x and these are our y's. Let's plot those. So -2, 4, -1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 4. Okay, so here it is. There's our bread and butter parabola. That's y is equal to x squared. Okay. Now, we want the new points for this parabola, which is y is equal to x minus 2 squared. Okay. So what I'm going to tell you is that this changes, the h changes the x values. So watch this. I am now going to focus in on that -2. Now, it says it's -2, but remember what we said, we do the opposite. So we're not going to subtract 2, we're going to add 2 to each of our x values. And look at this. My x, instead of -2, I add 2 to it and it becomes 0. My y's don't change, it's still 4. Remember, the h, because it's in the bracket, changes your x value. All right, so here we go. The next point, it's -1 plus 2 is 1. And the y value stays the same. A 0 plus 2 is 2. 1 plus 2 is 3. And notice that I'm just keeping my y's the same. 2 plus 2 is 4, and the y stays the same. So these are the points for this translated parabola. Well, let's graph those. So watch this. 0, 4, 1, 1, 2, 0, 3, 1, 4, 4. So look at this. Here's my parabola. The shape hasn't changed. The shape hasn't changed, but notice what's happened. I've just moved it to the right. I've moved it to the right 2 units. Now, I know it says negative there, but you've got to remember that you do the opposite. A lot of you will say, oh, Mr. Webster, I want to move that parabola to the left. But you don't. You move it to the right. You do the opposite when it's inside the brackets. Okay, let's do the next one. Now this one says it's +3. Now it's in the brackets, so we do the opposite. It's -3, and we're changing the x values. And you're always changing the x values of the bread and butter one. So I'm going to go back to here and say -2 minus another 3. Oh, that's -5. The y's don't change. In fact, look, I can just fill all my y's in. They don't change. So here we go. -1 minus another 3 is -4. 0 minus 3 is -3. 1 minus 3 is -2. And 2 minus 3 is -1. So here we go. Let's plot those ones. So -5, 4 is right there. -4 is 1. -3 is 0, -2 is 1, and -1 is 4. So look at this. We've moved this parabola to the left. That's it. So again, it's a +3, so you move it 3 to the left. All right, let's take a look at our little applet here. So watch with the k. Oh, sorry, we did the k. We're going to do the h now. So look at this. As I go to the positive, look at this. And there we go. So it just moves it back and forth. Okay, so the K moves it up and down, the H moves it back and forth, and the A flattens it or flips it. So those are the types of things we're going to be doing to parabolas. Okay. What about if we did two of them at the same time? Okay. So notice that in this case, I've got an H and I've got a K that I've got to deal with. So in this case, because I'll just go to blue here, because this is plus 3, hopefully a lot of you are saying now, that's 3 to the left. And then you look at this one and it says minus 5, and so that means 5 down. Okay, so let's try this. Here we go. It says draw the standard graph. So here we go. I'm going to draw my bread and butter one. 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 4, negative 1, 1, negative 2, 4. So there it is. That's my bread and butter parabola. That's my standard. Okay. Now, let's incorporate the 3 units left. So I'm going to draw that. Look at this. I move my vertex 3 to the left. 1, 2, 3. There's my vertex. And then look, the 2 points on either side are 1, 1, 1, 1. I just move over 1, up 1. And then I move over 2, up 4. Over 2, up 4. So there it is. That's what it would look like as that's y is equal to x plus 3 squared. But now look at this. We've got to incorporate. We've got to go down 5 units. So I'm going to take my vertex and go down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There it is. And then look, I go over 1, up 1, over 1, up 1, over 2, up 4, 4, over 2, up 4. So here it is. There's your final parabola. Is you move over, it's going to go left 3 and down 5. And I could have just taken my bread and butter parabola right to begin with, and I could have just grabbed it and brought it over 3, down 5. That's what these translations were doing to it. Okay? Over 3, down 5. Okay, so in summary, basically, the K values moves it up and down. And I'm just going to put a little star here. Actually, let me change colors just so that. So I'm just going to put a star. A K value, a K changes the Y values. It changes the Y values, okay? And then the H changes the X values. And I'm going to put a little reminder there for you. Sorry, I didn't make that very legible. Let me fix that up. Okay. Changes the X values. And then I'm going to put a little star here is do the opposite. Do the opposite. Okay. So look at this. Negative means move to the right. Positive move to the left. So it's kind of opposite to what you're thinking. Whereas here, you don't have to do the opposite because positive is up, negative is down. And that's the way it should feel natural to you, is that as you go up on a Cartesian graph, it's positive, and as you go negative, it's down. Whereas this one for the H feels the opposite. Okay, some steps I've said is draw the standard graph, do the stretches and compressions. And so that basically you look at the A value. Oops. You look at the A value to do the stretches and compressions. You look at the reflections again. Basically, you look at A, is A positive or negative? And then do your translations, do left and right. So that's your H, and up and down with your K. So that's kind of the steps of incorporating all of the things that we've done so far. All right, so I've put some your homework right here. Please give those a try. There's your homework and there are the answers. And let me know if you have any questions. Take care, you guys.